Hey, hey, hey. Happy Wednesday. Come on in, pull up a chair. The Daily Dope is in the air. Howdy, 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 gang. Yes, I'm Jeff McAleer, back once again as your host here at The Daily Dope. Tonight is Wednesday, September 23rd, 2020. This is episode 547. Take 3 of The Daily Dope. Fingers crossed, gang. Fingers crossed. If this is your first time joining me, keep in mind, this is very, very casual. We're just hanging out talking about tabletop gaming news. So we're chatting about the latest board games and card games, role-playing games, miniatures games, and so on. Every once in a while, we'll talk a little bit about PC gaming as well as pop culture. But the vast majority of the time, it's tabletop gaming. This is also, like I say, very, very casual. It is not rocket surgery by any stretch of the imagination. Do want to remind you that if you like this video, by all means, please give it a quick thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And if you do subscribe, ring that notification bell, because not only will it let you know when the Daily Dope streams live, Monday through Thursday nights right here on YouTube, I'll also tell you when I upload other videos, such as my upcoming coverage of 10 Gallon, which is from Verssen Games. So this just arrived about 10 minutes before I started the first attempt at this stream. So maybe this is it. Maybe this is cursed. I don't know. Anyway, yes, it has been 45 minutes of trying to get this stream to not drop all over the place. So we will find out what's going on. Anyway, do want to mention, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in gaming news, reviews, comics, movies, TV. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Because this is a live stream, fingers crossed we stay streaming, chat is available. It's not on screen. It's one of the ways I keep some of the more unusual commenters at bay. But I do pay attention to chat. So if you want to say howdy, or maybe you got a question, comment, by all means, chime in, and I will do my best to respond. Sometimes the chat flies by pretty quickly. So do want to point out, if there's something that you really want me to comment on, you might want to type more than once in chat. So let's see who we've got trying to hang out for the third attempt at this. We've got Philadelphia Piper, Cameron F., Flaming Heron, and my friend Scott Weagle are all hanging out. So Cameron F. says now they feel obligated to leave a rather unusual comment. That's okay. You can leave whatever unusual comments you want, because I delete comments constantly. So I'm kidding. Well, I'm serious about deleting comments. If somebody's just being a troll, I'm like, gone, blocked, see ya. I don't have time for that nonsense. Anyway, so we were actually talking about a lot of different stuff in the first couple of streams before I jumped into the news. I do see we are dropping some. We're dropping some frames here. Not a ton yet. Certainly not like we were seeing earlier. So I did notice that there was a new NVIDIA driver that was ready to download. I don't think that's really the issue, but you never know. It's not, because our kilobits per second are all over the place again. So yes, unusual comments are fine. Offensive comments are different. Yes, thank you, Flaming Heron, for bringing that up. All right, let's jump on into the news. Let's see what we can get out of this. Worst comes to worst, and I see it's cutting in and out again. Gosh, I wish I knew what was the problem, gang. So I'm going to just go through this, and if it turns out that the stream is actual hot garbage at the end, I will just upload the recording of it. Sometimes we'll have a problem with drop streams, and then things kind of settle out. So I don't know. It is very, very strange that this has just recently happened. I got to be honest. I wonder if it's because I'm going through the classic stream and I haven't gone to the new streaming setup for YouTube. I don't know. So Philadelphia Piper said they were smoking a pipe when I started the stream. Now they've finished their pipe, finished their relaxation. Sorry about that. All right, let's jump on in. I'm going to go through the news, see what we get. Fingers crossed. Now for crowdfunding on Kickstarter for Rock Manor Games is Set a Watch, Swords of the Coin. And here's the dope. Set a Watch, Swords of the Coin is a 60 to 90 minute cooperative adventure puzzle game for 1 to 4 players. Swords of the Coin is a standalone expansion featuring the same critically acclaimed gameplay along with some new twists centered around collecting coin and buying items from the merchant. The expansion is fully compatible with the original game. Creatures, locations, and characters can all be mixed and matched together with the original Set a Watch. If you're unfamiliar with the original game, Set a Watch is a cooperative game where you must combat fiendish creatures at 9 locations while keeping your campfire burning. Every round, you'll visit a new location and pick an adventurer to rest and take camp actions. The adventurers on watch attempt to clear a line of creatures with their dice and abilities. The original deluxe game became a reality thanks to over 5,800 backers and features 8 different adventurer classes. The kingdom is in grave danger once again, but our mighty adventurers are nowhere to be found. The king has stepped in and offered to pay any mercenary for taking up arms against the darkness. This quest falls on the shoulders of 4 mercenaries, each with a unique set of skills, to band together to vanquish this evil from the kingdom. Set a Watch, Swords of the Coin is both a standalone game for 1 to 4 players and an expansion that can be combined with the original cooperative game. Featuring all new characters, this bunch of adventurers has to be motivated to work together. Every round, you'll visit all new locations and pick an adventurer to rest and get paid to take camp actions. You can use this coin to purchase powerful items from the new merchant board and item deck. These items will assist the rest of the party on watch as they battle a line of new creatures trying to make their way into camp. It is still a battle to keep the campfire burning. Use your wits and skill to fight for the light, or all will perish in the darkness. There is a short Kickstarter video from Rock Manor Games, so let's take a peek.
Our kingdom is in grave danger. Rumor has it that malevolent acolytes are conspiring to resurrect the vile and powerful Unhallowed once again. This time we must rely on the Swords of the Coin Mercenary Guild to gather champions from outside the realm to defend our kingdom from darkness. Only you have the abilities and skills to fight for the light. So, mighty sellswords, will you save us? Every round you will visit a new location on your hunt for the evil Unhallowed. 1 hero will rest and get paid coin to take camp actions. Our champions can then visit the merchant and purchase magical items and potions before they head out on watch. While the rest of the party will go on watch and battle a line of creatures trying to make their way into camp. Use powerful abilities to manipulate the creature line to solve each round's combat puzzle. Combine forces and spend dice to attack monsters and send them to the graveyard. Dice can also be used to activate your abilities. You'll have to work together to defeat the creatures and keep your campfire burning. If creatures enter camp, the darkness spreads. Reach the final location and defeat the final horde of creatures before we are consumed by darkness. Are you ready for this epic quest to stay alive? Set a watch, Swords of the Coin, a cooperative adventure game for 1 to 4 players.
Is for 1 to 4 players, ages 10 and up. Plays in around 60 to 90 minutes. This project is already fully funded. You can reserve a copy of the game as well as stretch goals for a $28 pledge through October 15th. Expected delivery is September of 2021. Gotta say, I like the art style. This is pretty cool art style with the game. I have not played any of the Manor games that are out there. I do know that Mike, I believe his last name is pronounced Nade, is sending along a copy of The Few and Cursed. So that should be pretty cool. That is based on the graphic novels that are out there. So it's kind of like a Western post-apocalyptic game. So that's pretty cool. This looks pretty interesting. I have heard through the grapevine that Set a Watch is very interesting. It has gotten big thumbs up from a lot of reviewers out there. So once again, this is a standalone if you don't already have Set a Watch. And if you do have Set a Watch, this makes for a great expansion as well. Scott Weagle asks if there's any trolls. Actually, Scott had mentioned previously that I'm going through Jeff a pause. Just a phase in life. I don't know, maybe. I don't know. So, are there any trolls? I don't know. I have no idea. I've got no clue. The only information I have about this game is what I have shared. So, maybe there's trolls. Maybe there's not. Maybe there's internet trolls in it. Moving right along, it's Wednesday, so you know I like to share news about war games on Wednesdays. So, next week is going to see the release of By Stealth and Sea, which is from Dan Verssen Games. Here's the dope. By Stealth and Sea is a tactical, solitaire, or cooperative game that takes place during the Battle of the Mediterranean in World War II. In By Stealth and Sea, you lead elements of an Italian commando frogman unit called the Decima Flottiglia MAS. I don't know. I'm sure I mispronounced that. Under your command, teams of frogmen will pilot manned torpedoes and attacks against the Royal Navy in the heavily guarded harbors of Gibraltar, and Alexandria. By Stealth and Sea's campaign system features all 9 key historic manned torpedo attacks against the Royal Navy. During the campaign, you can advance your technology and train your frogmen, but the Royal Navy responds to successful attacks by improving their defenses. The remarkable accomplishments of the Decima Flottiglia MAS served as a model for other special forces assault units for years after World War II. Will you be able to match these historic results, or will you succumb to the defenses of the Royal Navy? You score points based on the type of naval vessels and support ships you sink. Points scored during a mission can be used to advance your technology and train your operatives for future missions. Your goal for the campaign is to meet or exceed the historical accomplishments of the manned torpedo operators. By Stealth and Sea is divided into turns. Each turn consists of the following phases. Fault check phase. Check to see if there's a fault. Thus the name, right? Manned torpedo phase. The phase of manned torpedoes. No, I'm joking. Each manned torpedo uses 2 action points. Harbor defense phase. Harbor defenses respond to manned torpedoes. And then there's the cleanup phase. Prepare for the next round. The game is for 1 to 3 players. Remember, it can be solitaire or cooperative. It's for ages 10 and up. Plays at around 30 to 45 minutes. And it will carry an MSRP of $59.99. Kind of cool. Sweet. Very, very interesting topic. I like Dan Verssen Games. I'm surprised I haven't reviewed more of their stuff, but Dan Verssen Games usually has some different titles out there. Their solitaire releases are excellent and really, really well done. So this is very, very interesting. This is the first game I'm aware of to cover manned torpedoes in World War II. I don't know, maybe there's other ones out there, but I certainly do not know about it. And I believe it's got 9 different game maps or game boards for you to utilize for the different missions. Looks like there's a lot in this game. So if you are interested, check it out. And once again, the Verssen Games are never just hex and counter games at all. So Cameron F says, every time you like this stream, a dead adventurer gets their wings. Pretty funny. So Melwinius from York, who's hanging out in chat. Once again, in chat, we've got Philadelphia Piper, Cameron F, Flaming Huron, Scott Weagle, Melwinius from York showed up again for third time's a charm here. And Craig Martin has popped in. Craig's like, hey, I thought I missed the show again. No, we have had some serious stream issues so far tonight. So this is actually our third shot at getting this in. So Melwinia says this reminds him a bit of the Dam Buster games from GMT. You know what jumped into my head is, and I don't, off the top of my head, I can't remember the title of it, but there was a victory game back in the day where it was I think it was, if I remember right, it was British commandos attacking an Italian port. And that was a pretty cool game. It was actually a pretty good game. But like I said, I can't remember the title of it. But for some strange reason, it's sort of, I think it's because the maps, the game boards there are showing a port. And I think that's kind of why I'm sitting there thinking, okay. All right. So once again, we are jumping up and down as far as our kilobit rates. I don't know. I'm going to have to go dig in after the show, see what's going on, because this is third show in a row this week that we've had some issues. Tonight's been just really bad. Don't do. All right. So this next news piece, I'm just including it because personally, I thought it was very unusual. I'm not including this news piece because I think anybody's going to be out there and buy this. But I've got the dope on. The board game called Hegemony. Jeez, I'm starting to laugh before I even get it out of my mouth. Hegemony, which is from, wait for it, the Rand Corporation. Yes, you heard me right. It is from the Rand Corporation. U.S. defense strategists and policymakers have the perennial challenge of developing capstone documents that can coherently articulate and guide how the U.S. Government of Defense, should say Department of Defense, will deliver and maintain combat-credible military forces to deter war and provide national security in alignment with national strategy. These forces must be ready to fight and prevail should deterrence fail against a variety of threats in an evolving and uncertain global security environment. And they must be able to do this with acceptable risks, both in the present against today's threats and in the future against threats that might emerge. Key audiences for these capstone documents include defensive planners, programmers, budgeteers. Why would you put budgeters? That just sounds weird. Managers, analysts, and policymakers who support the development and management of forces that can be postured and employed in alignment with a given defense strategy to accomplish objectives. Against this backdrop, RAND researchers developed Hegemony, a war game designed to teach U.S. defense professionals how different strategies could affect key planning factors in the trade space at the intersection of force deployment, force management, force posture, and force employment. The game presents players representing the United States and its key strategic partners and competitors with a global situation, competing national incentives, constraints, and objectives, a set of military forces with defined capacities and capabilities, and a pool of periodically renewable resources. The players are asked to outline their strategies and are then challenged to make difficult choices by managing the allocation of resources and forces in alignment with their strategies to accomplish their objectives within resource and time constraints. There is a short video from the Rand Corporation. Yes, Malwinius from York. Yes, that Rand Corporation. Let's take a look.
Tabletop games that focus on the military typically focus on how one armed force might match up against another. Rand researchers created a different kind of game, one that focuses on the bigger picture of defense policy. It's called hegemony. The word hegemony refers to great influence that a dominant power uses over others. But hegemony, the game, isn't really about becoming a dominant power. It's about using hedging strategies and making tough choices about how to use limited resources in a world full of uncertainty. In hegemony, players represent either the US Department of Defense, NATO, and the EU, or Russia, China, North Korea, and Iran. The game begins with a scenario that describes the state of the world. Then players develop strategies and take turns trying to execute their plans by using action cards and game pieces. Every turn represents roughly 1 year. Players can cooperate or not, but to win, they must increase their influence in a specific region or throughout the world. To learn more about how to play Hegemony or to purchase the game for yourself, visit rand.org.
Yes. Yes. So, let me, once again, yeah, the stream's cutting in and out, it looks like. But, what's next? Are we going to get a board game from DARPA? Anyway, get ready, strap in, hold on to your hats, because Hegemony is available from the Rand Corporation to the public for $250. It's like, what? So watching that video, it's sort of like you're sitting there and you're thinking, yeah, I mean, so there's there's like 3 10-sided dice, some really cheap, shitty looking counters. It all looks almost like it's, looks like a lot of like playtest materials almost. So, I don't know, kind of weird. But I just thought I'd share that because I ran across this, and it is pretty funny to see the Rand Corporation has a board game that is out there. Yes, Disavowed 92 is in chat, says, wow, that's nuts. Yes. So Ray Melwinnie is from York, says $250. The cards look like paper printouts. I know, didn't they? So I said, it looks as if this was just like playtest materials. I don't know. I have no idea. All right, moving on to the next news piece. Paizo Inc. have announced 2 new Lost Omens releases. I've got the dope. First off is the Absalom City of Lost Omens sourcebook. For nearly 5,000 years, the great city of Absalom has stood at the center of the Inner Sea's culture, commerce, and prophecy. Now, with the death of the city's founder, God Eredin, the disappearance of the city's Lord Mayor, and newly launched attacks from some of its greatest foes, Absalom stands at the gateway to a new and uncertain destiny. This lore-packed 296-page hardcover guide to the locations, denizens, and adventures of Pathfinder's most famous city is the largest Pathfinder city sourcebook to date, presenting a fascinating locale suitable for years of adventure. A huge 8-panel poster map of the city sets the scene in unprecedented detail, allowing your heroes to walk upon the streets paved with centuries of history, following the steps of generations of questing heroes to chart a new path for the city at the center of the world. This 296-page hardcover will carry an MSRP of $46.99. Next up is the Pathfinder Lost Omens City of Lost Omens poster map folio, kind of strange that they they named it that. It's kind of a weird title. Explore the streets and scenes of the city at the center of the world with the City of Lost Omens poster map folio. 4 enormous 8-panel maps combined to create by far the largest city map ever published for Pathfinder. A wall-dominating presentation that allows players to get closer than ever before to the intrigues and dangers of Absalom, Pathfinder's most prominent metropolis. Inspired by the Absalom City of Lost Omens hardcover source book, the City of Lost Omens poster map folio presents finer detail than ever before for a city map, making it the perfect accompaniment to a campaign set in Absalom, whether it's the Agents of Edgewatch Adventure Path, Pathfinder Society organized play, or a game of your own creation. A million fates await the heroes in Absalom, and perhaps just slightly fewer buildings, monuments, temples, and taverns. Chart them all in meticulous detail with these gorgeous and gigantic city poster maps. The map folio is going to carry an MSRP of $24.99. I have to say there is no release dates for either one of these because I believe, I might be wrong, but I do believe that there was actually a delay on these. I don't know if the delay was the map folio or if it was for the book, because strangely enough, and I will jump out of this for a second, but strangely enough, the Agents of Edgewatch series, now they just released the 3rd chapter of the 6-part adventure path, and I have actually started taking a peek at this, and there's something I thought was very kind of unusual, which I thought actually is kind of interesting. I will bring up in just a moment. But you would have thought, because this takes place in Absalom, I believe the entire campaign city, I would have thought that that source book would have been released right when the 1st chapter came out. I don't know. Like I said, I do believe that there was a delay, and even with coronavirus, we didn't see huge delays from Paizo Inc. Just saw stuff coming real late in the month, usually. So, on a side note, so I started diving into this adventure to do a review, and I haven't gotten to the point yet, but they kind of hint at there's like a chapter inspired by H.H. Holmes, the serial killer from around the time of the Chicago World Expo in, what was that, 1898-ish? So I thought that was kind of interesting. So I haven't gotten to it yet, but they kind of, in the adventure paths that they'll usually kind of give you a synopsis of what's going on. And it's supposed to be Agents of Edgewatch. There's supposed to be some centennial celebration going on in the city of Absalom, and the player characters are actually hired to be like city watch for this one district. And supposedly a serial killer, and it almost seems like there's like a hotel of death. So if you know anything about H.H. Holmes, super creepy. And if you don't, may I recommend The Devil in the White City by, is it Dan Larson? I know the last name is Larson. Excellent book. Really, really good book. Excellent audio book as well. Narrated by Scott Brick. And I actually, that's an audio book that I'll listen to about once a year because it's really good. It's really, really good. All right. So let's keep moving on with the news. Even though we're dropping frames, I don't know. So Melwoody says Paizo is pumping out stuff for Pathfinder 2, 2nd edition. Wow. So Craig Martin says they think the delay was because of the book. I don't know. I had heard somebody had mentioned that the delay was because of the folio, the map folio. I thought, well, that's kind of silly. Wouldn't you just... You could release the book without releasing the map folio, so what? So I don't know. I I think Craig sounds more correct than the rumor I heard, because why would they have not released the Absalom City of Lost Omens core book, the source book? I don't know. All right, sticking with RPG news, there is a new bundle of holding that's available. It features the Tiny Dungeon role-playing game. Whoops, as I jumped up to the wrong thing. There we go. It's from Gallant Knight Games. I've got the dope. Adventura. We've resurrected our July 2019 Tiny Dungeon bundle, one of two offers now in progress featuring the stripped down and streamlined Tiny D6 Universal Tabletop role-playing rules from Gallant Knight Games. Funded in a September 2017 Kickstarter campaign, the Tiny Dungeon RPG uses the minimalist Tiny D6 mechanics for a fast-playing fantasy game that's easy to learn and teach and ideal for convention games, one-shots, and novice role players. Player characters, heroic adventurers, daring treasure hunters, imperious magicians, and more, have statistics that fit on a single note card. Designer Alan Barr has adapted the Tiny D6 rules for standalone games in other genres, too. This bargain-priced offer gives you PDFs of the current editions of Tiny Dungeon, which is 2nd edition, Tiny Wastelands, Tiny Frontiers, and Tiny Mecha. Tiny giant robots, along with a tiny boatload of freebies. For a tiny $9.95, you'll get all 5 titles in this revived offer's Tiny Dungeon collection with a retail value of $37, including the complete Tiny Dungeon 2nd edition core rulebook, plus its free quick start set Mad Magics of the Turned God and quick start characters, the Tiny Dungeon Player's Guide, the print and cut Bestiary deck and treasure deck, as well as the GM screen. And if you pay more than this offer's threshold price of $19.95, you'll level up and also get this Revival's Giant Tiny Universe collection with 7 more Tiny D6 titles worth an additional $61, including the standalone RPG of streamlined post-apocalyptic action, Tiny Wastelands, the space opera, Tiny Frontiers, the Tiny Frontiers sourcebook, Mecha and Monsters, and for summer season lifeguarding action and bay-watching glamour, Beach Patrol, plus its free quick start characters. These savings do run through October 12th. 10% of your payment after gateway fees will be donated to this offer's pandemic-related charity, Direct Relief. I like Tiny Dungeon. I reviewed the core rules back when I was doing reviews of PDFs. I think it's a lot of fun. I think it is super easy for everybody to jump right into and get to playing. And it is an excellent jump on point for parents, at least in my opinion. And I did mention this in the review. I think it's a great jumping on point for parents if they want to introduce role-playing games to their kids. So I know everybody's always talking about No Thank You Evil from Monty Cook Games to get kids involved in role-playing. Tiny Dungeon 2nd edition is excellent as well. So Cameron F says, Tiny D6 seems fun. Can't wait to try it. And holy crap, I'd pay that price for half that stuff. Yeah, it is actually a very good deal. Ben Jared has joined us in chat, as has Andre Quimet. Nice. I believe this might be Andre's first visit with us in chat. Welcome aboard. Make yourself comfortable. I got one more news piece. And, oh boy, I tell you, we've lost about 11% of our frames. It's not good. I am going to have to dig in and really see what the issue is the past few days. I thought maybe it was going to be that NVIDIA driver, but I guess that ain't going to be the case. So my final news piece, now available in print, is the Old School Essentials Rules Tome from Necrotic Gnome. Here's the dope. Old School Essentials is an adventure role-playing game of exploration, danger, monsters, and magic. The game is intentionally rules light, putting the focus of play on imagination, improvisation, and fun. The rules are optimized for ease of use at the table, with meticulous attention to wording and layout clarity. What's more, Old School Essentials is 100% compatible with the classic Basic Expert game from 1981, meaning that decades of adventure are at your fingertips. It is a complete game all in one book. The Old School Essentials Rules Tome is a complete game of classic fantasy adventure containing the following: core rules, rules for character creation and advancement, adventuring in dungeons, the wilderness, and at sea, magic, and combat. Character options, 7 classic classes: cleric, dwarf, elf, fighter, halfling, magic user, and thief. Complete lists of weapons and adventuring gear, extensive lists of vehicles, mounts, and vessels, mercenaries and specialists for hire, rules for stronghold construction as well. There's also spells, a complete set of 34 cleric spells from 1st to 5th level, and 72 magic user spells from 1st to 6th level for use by players or cleric, elf, and magic user characters. There's monsters, a selection of over 200 classic monsters to challenge adventurers of all levels, as well as treasures, a hoard of over 150 wondrous magic items. The material in this book forms a complete clone of the classic Basic Expert game, including all rules, classes, spells, monsters, and magic items. There is a hardcover edition over at the Necrotic Gnome site. It is available. It's on sale right now for $40. It includes the PDF. You can also get the 296-page PDF at DriveThruRPG for $20. So this is, of course, Old School Essentials is not new. What is new, that everything's in one book, in one volume, because in the past, it has been released as separate books. So this includes the 5 books that were originally released. So everybody talks about how great Old School Essentials is. I have not actually checked it out myself. But one thing that I have heard is that it's essentially the B/X rules for Dungeons and Dragons. I can say that, they can't, but it is D&D, Basic and Expert. And it's just cleaned up to make it much easier to understand and much more intuitive for you to grasp the rules of. One thing it is not, that's why they say it's a clone, not necessarily a retro clone, because nothing has changed. So, for an example, I know a lot of people talk about the thieves in Basic and Expert are kind of gimped. They're not as good as they were, like, say, Advanced Dungeons and Dragons. They kind of cleaned that up a bit. The skill percentages are pretty low for thieves, where many retro clones that have utilized B/X, say like Swords and Wizardry, they have addressed that. They've changed things, that a lot of these retro clones have used Advanced Dungeons and Dragons, original D&D, Basic, Expert. They've used those as starting points to build on. That is not the case with Old School Essentials. Old School Essentials is essentially going to be B/X D&D. It's just easier to understand. But like I said, I've heard loads and loads of people really, really dig it. They really, really love it. All right. So Cameron says that the frame dropping isn't really going on their end. The stream just goes offline for a few seconds, a couple of times. Yeah, I don't know. I have no idea. Melanius is laughing at Necrotic Gnome. So there you have it. That is the news for tonight. I know it's been a struggle to get through this show tonight. I'm telling you. So real quick before I wrap up, I am going to mention that, and I mentioned this in the beginning of, was it the first attempt at the stream or second attempt at the stream? We are back on board with Free League Publishing. We kind of fallen off. I don't know if I thought maybe they weren't happy with the review that I did for the Tales from the Loop starter set, where I didn't think it was worth the price that they were asking. I didn't think you were getting much for your money. I guess that's not the case. So Boel, I think her last name is Bergman, who was my contact originally with Free League when they were sending me like everything left and right. She's back. And she actually reached out to me on Twitter to let me know she is back with Free League Publishing and what could she set me up with. So in the near future, we are going to be able to see the Alien role-playing game starter set. We might, I don't know if we'll see this or not, we might actually get that boxed cinematic adventure set as well for Alien. The one where it's the Colonial Marines. We're also going to get to see Wasson, the horror role-playing game that they've released, as well as the award-winning, I know it's written like Mork Borg, but I understand it is not pronounced that way. I am not going to try to pronounce it. So it's kind of like, okay. And also throw in Cubicle 7 Entertainment is sending me the hardcover of Uber's Reich Adventures for Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay. It's got a lot of stuff coming. A lot of stuff coming. So also want to mention, I'm reaching out. I talked about this a few weeks ago, that I had an idea for this year's Extra Life charity stream to maybe invite some of the folks I went to high school with who were part of our game club at Lane Tech High School, the Gamers Guild, see if they might be interested in doing a remote role-playing game stream. And everybody was like, yeah, thumbs up. They're like, oh, yes, cool. So it's Scott Weigel, who I don't know if Scott's still hanging out in chat or not. He was earlier. He is one of the members of the Gamers Guild. That's how I'm friends with Scott. So I am up in the air what we're going to do. So on one hand, I thought, hey, I wouldn't mind doing like a Delta Green Call of Cthulhu sort of adventure, because I can kind of, those are pretty good to do just a one shot, right? And then I thought, it might also be cool just to do like run an old school fantasy role playing kind of one shot adventure for, because I'm planning on maybe about a 6-hour time frame. I thought that would kind of be cool because it's turning the clock back to when we played in the Gamers Guild. So I'm kind of tossing that around. And then the other thing I thought of is if the Alien role-playing game cinematic adventure, which the title is not jumping in my skull, if that showed up in time, maybe run that. And all the players, of course, are Colonial Marines, right? I don't know. I honestly am sort of like, which one do I do? Which one do I do? So if anybody has a preference, including Scott, and I am going to reach out through social media to the people I touched base with to kind of get them into the loop of what I'm trying to do, because I want to try to get them copies of the rules that we end up using. Because whatever we're going to use, I'm trying to go with something that's going to be fairly rules light, pre-gen the characters for them so they have an opportunity to maybe take a look at the rules, take a look at their character ahead of time. It won't take us too long to kind of jump on in. I think maybe like night before, a couple of nights before, anybody who wants to jump in and kind of see how we're going to do the stream and that, I'll do that as well. So if you have any preference, what you'd like to see on the charity stream as far as the role-playing game I'm going to run, let me know in the comments below. So Melwinius points out they got the Alien RPG PDF in one of the giveaways. Yes, that's right. Speaking of giveaways, I'm running out to get in on my giveaway for D&D Icewind Dale, Rime of the Frost Maiden. Yes, I'm giving away my copy. You have to check out my review to find out how you can win. I will be announcing that winner on the 29th which is when the Dice and Miscellany set comes out. So anyway, so Melania says, it is a beautiful book and a good system, and they're thinking about getting the print version. So Flaming Heron says, playing an RPG with people who are used to playing old school RPGs, mind blown. I know. Well, you know, but here's the thing. I don't believe, outside of my friend Daryl, who has already said he's interested if he's in town, because he travels a lot. I know he still plays role-playing games. In fact, I think he still runs kind of like a weekly Pathfinder game. And I think they play some board games as well. So outside of that, I don't know if any of my pals from the Gamers Guild, of course, Elliot, my best friend, Elliot Miller, yeah, he still plays. But outside of that, I don't know. I don't know. I don't think Scott still plays stuff. I don't know. Mark, Tim. I know Tim has asked me for advice on board games in the past on Facebook. My friend Ed, I know for a fact he doesn't play anything. I think he might play computer games a little bit. We'll find out. We'll see what happens. It should be pretty wild. It should be pretty fun. And we will try to make it as entertaining as possible because, of course, it is a stream for charity. It is a one-shot. Doesn't matter. We can make it as wacky and wild as we want. All right, that is it for tonight's show. Once again, let me remind you, if you like this video, by all means, give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and if you do subscribe, ring that notification bell. It'll not only let you know when the Daily Dope streams live, Monday through Thursday nights, right here on YouTube. I'll also let you know when I upload other videos, such as my upcoming coverage of the first 3 chapters of Agents of Edgewatch for Paizo second edition. I should say Paizo's second edition of Pathfinder. It's kind of a mouthful. Should have just said Devil at the Dreaming Palace. Sweet. Anyway, and of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all the latest in gaming news, reviews, comics, movies, TV. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Everybody who watched live, thank you very much. It has been a bear to get this stream in tonight. I have no idea what this is going to look like on YouTube. Sometimes we drop frames and then the final result on YouTube looks fine. Other times we drop frames and it's awful. Don't know. I won't know until the stream stops rendering on YouTube. So we'll find out. If it's really horrible, I will just upload the recording. Of course, all of chat gets lost. I really try to not do that whenever possible, because then chat is gone and people have no idea what the hell's going on with me. Who is he talking to? Crazy. Scott Weagle says it's the chef's choice. I don't know. I make sure to open that up. All right, and Martin O'Brien was in chat. Good to see you, Martin. All right, anyway, so those of you who watch live, thank you very much. If you don't have an opportunity to watch live, and I know there are a lot of people out there who don't, maybe you're even watching on Memorex, I appreciate that just as much. Anybody who takes some time out to watch me pontificate in front of this camera should get a medal. Really. Anyway, everybody enjoy the rest of your Wednesday night / Thursday morning. I will be back tomorrow with my final show for the week. And of course, until then, as I have been signing off on all my videos, unfortunately, during this pandemic, please be smart and stay safe. Oh, you're still here. Well, once again, thank you very much for watching this video. And of course, if you'd like to subscribe to the Gaming Gang channel, click right here. And of course, if you want to see one of the latest episodes of the Daily Dope, click right on up here. And if you want to roll the dice, take your chances, see what YouTube thinks you might like from the channel, give a click right here. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer, and I'll see you next time.